Hey everyone, thank you for joining episode 21 of The Green Life. Today's episode is something that I'm really excited about because it's something I really love, which is Ayurveda. So I have two amazing guests here today, a mother-daughter duo, Ingrid and Cecilia, who are also the founders of Alonga World, a company that is all about bringing Ayurvedic spices together, not to just enhance the flavor of your food, but to make your food become medicine. And it's an amazing exploration of how Ayurveda can be used in everyday life. So we're going to talk about that. But before we start, just a little introduction into Ingrid and Cecilia. Ingrid grew up in Brazil and is a fourth generation German-Swedish immigrant. She is in love with nature and always was since she was a child. So she always understood this connection and healing power of what's around us, which I love. Together with a German husband, she raised 3 girls in São Paulo on a tropical island, and then they took a 3-year sailing trip between Argentina and Spain, stopping in different places, living in the environment that they were in, and really understanding how to live with nature and really be one with it, which is such an amazing experience. She's a yoga teacher, Ayurvedic practitioner, and she's amazing at what she does. And her daughter Cecilia, of course, then was exposed to this beautiful life, and she embraced everything her mom is doing. So she's a yoga teacher as well, becoming an Ayurvedic practitioner, and as well as an integrative coach. Cecilia has an international business degree, so she's really embracing putting all her knowledge and her education into health, which I love. It's a great way to marry knowledge and education with your passions. So without further ado, let's dive into this wonderful story. Welcome, Cecilia and Ingrid. Hello, ladies. How are you, Cecilia? How are you, Ingrid?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
And it's my pleasure.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, so this is the first time I do a 3-way from different locations. So we're going to have to just coordinate very well, not to have the sound overlap, but I think it's going to be quite cool. And I'm really excited to speak to you because Ayurveda has been one of the topics that I really, really wanted to dive into. And I don't think there's anyone better than you, Ingrid, doing it for such a long time. So there's so much to cover today. So before we go into anything else, can we just do a little introduction? Ingrid, do you want to start and tell us how you got into this, where you come from, and how your world became this beautiful Ayurveda universe?
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole life there to learn it. And I think my first contact was really when I moved to Europe from Brazil, because I'm coming from Brazil, from sun, beach, and really a different life than in Germany. And then when we moved to Germany, I feel the first time a big imbalance in my body, mind, and everything without energy. And I couldn't understand. I thought in the beginning that it is less sun, but it's not less sun. It was really, I needed to adapt really to live in Europe, or better to say not in Europe, but in Germany, near the mountains. It was dark, it was cold. I couldn't know how to eat. For me, I thought that I need to continue to eating like in Brazil, fresh and raw, and all this food that really makes your body prepared for the hot season and not for the cold season. For me, it was a big experience to see this big imbalance. I lost more or less in 1 year 10 kilos, and I'm not I never had a lot of weight, but also not only is losing this weight, I also feel a lack of energy. So this was the most point that I feel this big imbalance. So the first contact was doing yoga. I was doing yoga in Brazil also, but I went to India to learn a little bit more about yoga, because the movement in yoga makes me feeling better and more energized. And in these courses in India, I knew the Ayurvedic doctor, also David Frawley. He was really a person. He's also very known in Ayurveda. And this convinced me to make also or to study Ayurveda, because Ayurveda and yoga, they have the same Vedic roots. And since they have the same roots, you cannot live yoga without Ayurveda and Ayurveda without yoga. So this was the reason that I study Ayurveda, came to Ayurveda, because the big imbalance was in my own body, feeling that you have also to change your lifestyle, depending the climate, depending your age, depending your environment and everything around you. It's getting to be in balance, and when it's out of balance, you are out of energy.
Oh, totally. It's a funny, not funny as in, well, it's a funny thing to think about how our bodies need to be adapted, because I speak to a lot of people that are very convinced that the lifestyle is, fine for everybody. And although I think there are baselines that are indeed fine for everybody, I think like raw, for example, it's really hard to do in a climate where it's not favorable. For example, I can thrive on raw food here in summer, but in the winter I really struggle. And although I love salads and I don't want to give them up in the winter, I have to have warming food, otherwise I just feel so dumb, like wet and damp and cold, and it doesn't make me feel good. And when it's cold outside, you just want something that feels like a hug, because you're already freezing. So, and that's something that if you talk to people that are fully raw, sometimes they don't really appreciate that is not really going to be ideal for everybody. So I love that about Ayurveda, that is always changing. And I do love the philosophy, and I do embrace a lot of the practices. So how long was your studies, and where did you study?
I studied in Brazil. It was really the Vedic studies from David Frawley. It was in Portuguese because the Swami and doctor, medicine doctor, is Dr. Huguet. It's a Brazilian, very high in Ayurveda. So it was 3 years of studying, and the practical part, it was in the middle of Brazil, where all the herbs were growing. It was really a wonderful experience to be really in the middle of the nature, and doing also all these remedies with all these herbs growing around, and singing the mantras, doing everything in the surroundings. It was a really nice experience to do it in Brazil, because I thought that one day I will be there again. And now I'm here in Spain. Yeah.
Yes, in fact, well, you are in Mallorca, which is actually an upgrade from mainland anything. So it's really cool because the weather is better than most other places. We live in northern Portugal, and I'm actually quite surprised to say that the weather in London was better than here for the most part. So there you go. we moved to the wrong place. Well, okay. So Cecilia, I would love your introduction now, because as I told everybody at the beginning, you are Ingrid's daughter, and you guys kind of joined forces to create a company that we're going to talk about later, Alonga. But I also didn't know that, Ingrid, you did yoga, and you became a yoga teacher not long ago. So I love that there is this a transmission of thought and lifestyle and love for the Vedic science that went from mother to daughter. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your journey into this?
Yeah, sure. So I basically grew up with it, and I remember when I was really young, I loved to participate in my mother's yoga classes. There were only like old people and me, but I still enjoyed it so much. But I saw it more as like I loved the poses. I wanted to learn the challenging poses. But then one day, I think I was 15 years old, and my mom really had a migraine and was like, I'm going to cancel the yoga class. And I was like, I'm participating every day in your yoga class. You know what? I'm going to teach it. And so that's like how I just started. And then when I left home, I felt like, okay, but now I want the practice for myself. So I started practicing myself, and then also going to India to become a yoga teacher. It was just like, I had it always in my life. And I did that during my bachelor's degree, because at that point I still didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. So I wanted to have some university degree. So I did international business, but then realized that this part of wellness, well-being, nutrition, yoga, it was really calling me more and more. So as soon as I graduated from my university, I began the Integrative Nutrition coaching course. And that's where I just felt the passion for it and was like, okay, that's my way. And since then, like, I'm just completely 100% in that way with my mother, because we're just exactly doing the same way. And that's beautiful. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm learning a lot from my mother. And now I also started doing the Ayurvedic studies from David Frawling. But I feel like a lot of things, I love the practical part. So I'm struggling sometimes with the theory and the studies, because I grew up with the practical part, but I'm liking it a lot.
Oh, that's amazing. And is your course is in English or also Portuguese?
My course is in English.
Okay. Okay, great. Oh my gosh, this is great. And you also live in Mallorca, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Amazing. Okay, well, before we go into more details about Ayurveda, how do you love Mallorca?
Oh, a lot, especially in summer, the sun and everything. It's just nice to have like a lifestyle outside and in the nature. And my mother and I, yeah, we lived on the boat. Like, I grew up on the boat, so we're very close to the ocean. And this helps, so we can't live far from the ocean. So it's good to be on an island.
Oh, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit more about the boat.
Yeah. So I have two older sisters, but the whole family, a dog. We lived on a sailing boat for 4 years and traveled around the world. So we basically came from Brazil to Mallorca with a sailing boat when we were young. And we're very connected to nature. And I think that's where my mother also practiced a lot. That was before her Ayurvedic studies, but that's where she already practiced, like, how to heal us with nature, what nature provides us, how to use the spices and the herbs in every country that we went. We went to the locals and to the cultures to learn from them. And so Ayurveda was just an additional study, like what's actually behind that all, what we learned.
Oh, wow. Okay, what were the best countries you guys managed to see on your way here to Europe?
My mom can answer that, I think.
Yeah,
I
Ingrid.
think it was in Panama with the Indians and Cunayalas, because they had no connection with the civilized life. So it was nice because they had one herb in this island, and it was noni.
Oh, Noni, yeah.
Yeah. This was growing in all islands there. They had also some herbs in the jungle. But since they were living in the islands as an archipelago of 300 little islands, really beautiful, and they are really, this is a reserve only for Indians. So no tourism. Today a little bit more tourism because the big vessels are coming there to make tourism, but it's pity. But in this time, it was the year of 2000, I think 20 years ago, or 2002, more or less. Yeah, and we had a boy in our boat, and he was sick, a fever, and so we went to the Indians. The Indians, they gave them noni, and they were taking noni dry, noni raw, noni soup, noni in pieces. So they had the noni in every different qualities of this fruit. And so this is nice because according Ayurveda, you have also one ginger. You can have it in powder, you can have it dry, you can have the juice of ginger or roasted ginger, and all these qualities of ginger are reacting different in your body. And this is beautiful to see that this Indian had known in all qualities of how you say, the qualities of the noni, if you know noni. It was time boom here in Europe also, that people were drinking noni juice, something like this,
I learned it. Well, I learned it actually from a raw foodist, but he lived in Hawaii and he had access to it. Yeah, I know the juice, a lot of people are drinking it, but of course it's not the same because again, as you said, you're only getting one part of it. Plus it's got to be in a way pasteurized to last long enough to bring it here. So it's really not the same. Doesn't mean that doesn't have the benefit, but it's definitely not, like the natural raw
Not
substance.
really here in Europe. So,
Yeah.
so this is important to see because a lot of people, they think Ayurveda, oh, this is Indian food, oh, this comes from India or Asia. But Ayurveda is really adapting on your surroundings, what is growing there, seasonal and everything. So a lot of people have only this Ayurveda like connecting with India, and it's not the case.
Yeah.
Because Ayurveda, the roots are coming from India. If this will be the next question.
Indeed, it's yeah. If we can dive into what Ayurveda is, where it comes from, the history of it, and so that you can make it digestible for people to understand. And you had a great introduction already, so yeah, please carry on.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is the reason that when we are speaking about Ayurveda today, a lot of people know something about Ayurveda, but it is so big and complex. I would say a lifestyle because Ayurveda means the wisdom of life, with the same roots of yoga, wisdom of the body. And so when we are speaking about the wisdom of life, you can see it also like the mother of the medicine. So more than 5,000 years ago, that the first writings were written down. And before this, it was speaking from month to month. So when they begin to have the knowledge about Ayurveda. And so I would say in the more modern times that Ayurveda is more a lifestyle that you have to understand, but very carefully, because today everybody, when you speak about Ayurveda, they speak about the doshas, and I will speak a little bit later further about the doshas that you can understand it. So yeah, this is what Ayurveda means. Maybe you have more questions. I am going on.
Yeah. So the meaning of Ayurveda is clear, but what about, you mentioned it has become quite popular, right, in the Western world, and most people really just focus on the doshas. But if you had to explain to people how Ayurveda, how is Ayurveda is medicine as well as lifestyle, where do the two meet? I think I think a lot of people perhaps that are not really into this holistic way of living fail to understand that medicine can be implemented in everyday's life, because our approach to medicine in the Western world is very much disease management. You only go to the doctor when you feel unwell, but a lot of the ancient practices were about implementing medicine in our lives so we never feel unwell. It's more like to maintain health. So I like you to really just marry this concept with also, how we can use Ayurveda in every day and how we can actually benefit from it becoming part of our daily routines.
Okay, then when we are speaking about Ayurveda, it depends in what area you want to go in Ayurveda. So yoga teachers can study Ayurveda, psychologists can also study Ayurveda, doctors can also study Ayurveda, and nutrition coaches also are studying Ayurveda and massage. So you have a lot of different areas where you can apply Ayurveda. And when we are speaking, like you said, that we are working more on the prevention and looking the body that's something whole, so that you cannot say that Ayurveda is this or that. You are adapting Ayurveda in your lifestyle, depending what age you have, what season you have, what day, what hour in the day you are applying your Ayurveda techniques or cleanings or food and everything what you know about Ayurveda. So when we are speaking about preventing in Ayurveda, so we have really a daily routine in Ayurveda, like you learn since little baby to brush your teeth, to clean your body, to dress here, to dress beautiful, and to feel fresh outside. Everything in yoga and Ayurveda, you learn also the techniques to clean your body inside. So when I think inside, it's not only to clean your nose and clean your tongue, that's in the morning routine, but also your mind, how you are thinking, what you are doing, what you're speaking. So you are you observe really everything what you're doing without judging. This is very important, and you feel when something is wrong. So when some illness is coming, then you can look for a doctor in Ayurveda. But before this, you have a lifestyle that prevent you from every symptom that you feel without energy. To feeling without energy is one of the points that you feel that something is wrong in your body. So if you eat, you feel energy and not tired or bloating or burning. And so if you have activities, you feel energized again and not less of energy. And so I think it's a way that you be more aware about how your body is feeling. And this you can learn step by step by approaching you with all the themes in Ayurveda.
Yeah. Do you want to give us some example of well, you mentioned very quickly the tongue, but can you give me an example of practices that someone could implement in their daily routine that would apply to Ayurveda?
Okay. So in the morning when you wake up your body, it's normal that some toxins are resting on your tongue. So in the morning you can look your tongue, see what color is the tongue. When you ate very late at night or indigest food in your body, or a bad alito, I don't know the name.
Bad breath.
A bad breath. This is a sign that something is indigest in your body. And with a tongue scraper or a spoon, very light, you are sliding over your tongue, and you can see this little mucus on the tongue. It could be white, it could be yellow, it could be difficult to clean. This is more in your tissues, that when you see that's difficult to clean your tongue, then it's more chronic. So these toxins are more in your tissues. So it's like you are brushing your teeth, you feel fresh, you clean your tongue. And after cleaning your tongue, you can brush your teeth, and you can make oil, how you say oil?
Oil pulling.
Pulling also. Some people here in this island make it with olive oil. In India, we learn it with coconut oil. Other people make it with sesame oil. So the pulling, I would say it's better. I like to make it with coconut oil. So you can do it for 10 to 15 minutes. It's one moment in the morning that you're quiet, making your oil in your mouth, making this movement. I don't know. And
yeah,
so
like a mouthwash.
And don't put this oil in your sink. You put in the garden in one place, because otherwise the coconut oil would be hard in the
your pipes. Oh yeah, and unless you want to spend a few thousands of euro changing your pipings, do not throw it down the drain. I know. But tell me, I also use the coconut oil. I wasn't sure about other oils, but any oil will have the same effects. And if that's the case, what does the oil actually do for people that don't know?
They are antibacterial. They also bring and clean all your teeth. How you say?
Your gum.
And it's more antibacterial. So like the native that you are cleaning your noses, and after this you put some oils, protect you from virus, and you feel really that your mouth is fresh and your teeth are white. And so I think it's a nice way to clean your tongue. Maybe Cecilia have to say something more.
No, it's very nice, and I love it. I do it every day, and it just feels so fresh, and your mouth just feels clean, like you clean your face and your skin. It's just a nice way. And then after, when you throw out the oil, then I always do a little mouthwash with water or a little bit of salt, or I like the little bit of apple cider vinegar, and then wash the mouth so you get all the oil out. You don't want to swallow this oil or anything, so you just really rinse your mouth off, and it's just a great feeling and just antibacterial, and yeah.
Is it important to do it in a certain order? So, for example, first do your tongue scraping and then the oil, or you can do the oil and then the tongue scraping?
I would do first the tongue scraping, because like this, you're already taking away some of the toxins. Otherwise, you're just washing them around your mouth. So you first do your tongue and then you do the oil pulling.
Wow, good to know. Brilliant. And then what else? So we said the nose, you will put some oil in the nose.
Now you make it with warm salt water.
Oh, warm salt water. Okay.
The neti pot, you can see we call this neti. And so you put your head more or less 45 degrees, that it's not going 90 degrees, that's not going in your ears, because all the channels in your sinus are connected. Some people, they have some problems when they put the head to 90 degrees on one side. So it's better to make 45 degrees. And it's this warm water with, I would say, the top of 1 teaspoon, not so much of salt. It's the same salt that you have in your body. If you want to make it with seawater, it's too salty. The seawater is too salty. So you have the more or less the sense. Too much is not nice to feel this in your face. So you put some nostril in one nostril and then other nostril. You feel that you're cleaning. And after cleaning your sinus and nostrils, you can put some oil also. In Ayurveda, you have some special oils for Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So they are made with herbs, but you can also use the oils that you have around you, almond oils or whatever you have around you. You can also use ghee or coconut oil. So it's fine that you put oil. And this also protect you from virus and other bacteria around us.
But yeah, the oil, you just put it on a finger and just like around your nostrils. So you don't put it in properly. So just like around your nostrils, like a little bit with your small finger in. Just so, yeah, there's like a layer of protection.
So for everybody listening, doesn't have the visual, it's like you picking your nose, but not as deep. Okay. So that's the only time you're allowed to pick your nose. Okay, that's brilliant. And okay, that's fantastic. And then what else can people do? So this is the bathroom routine. Then what happens when you're done with that?
After this, normally some movements, and in Ayurveda and also yoga, you have some movements that they call nauli. Nauli is a movement in your intestine, in your body, in your belly, that you can make it. I think it's difficult to describe it exactly, but you are making a movement with your belly muscles like a wash machine. So removing all in the long intestine, all the leftovers. Sometimes people have undigested food on the way or very hard to eliminate it. And with all these movements and twists that you are doing, also walking, you can do, I think every movement is nice when you are not confident in yoga. But it's nice when people learn it in yoga, because you need a teacher to learn it, how to do it. They call all this cleansing kriyas in Sanskrit, and this is a way that you feel your intestine also. But if you have a very late dinner, you feel in the next morning that you cannot do it. You have also some contraindications that I will say now, but yoga and Ayurveda, it's nice to ask before a doctor if you can do everything, because in every technique you have some contraindications also. So it's good to know this before doing all these kriyas. Yeah.
What is the best time to stop having dinner before going to bed, so that the morning you can actually practice the best of the activities. That without, obviously, there are some contraindications for some cases like pregnancy and so on. But if you are, say, you don't have any of that, what would be the perfect time to go to bed and eating so that you don't wake up feeling stuffed and you can't do these exercises?
Okay, this is also different from person to person, because if you see, our body is like a program in a computer. If we switch the day to the night, some people are fine with this, but according to Ayurveda, if you observe the nature, we are from the macrocosmos, the microcosmos, and so our organs and all our body is working like the nature. And so it's not wrong and not right. You have not wrong or right. But if you have some imbalance, it's nice to know how you can manage all these imbalances in your body. If you are somebody who are eating late and feeling bad in the next morning or after eating, or you cannot sleep at night, this is an imbalance. So I cannot say you need to do this. You will do maybe only when you feel some imbalances, and so you have only to observe the nature that the nature have also written. And if we can live according to this written, it's fine. So I would say that the last meal, not for everybody, because some people who need a little bit more, they are eating a little bit later, but very light. But people who have the tendency to get weight and have a very weak metabolism, I would say between 6 and 7 o'clock at night to have the last meal. But it also depends from people to people, because some people have so nice fire to digest everything that they can also eat at midnight, and it's fine for him. And so you will live in a Ayurvedic rhythm when you feel that this makes good for you. This is the energy that you need every day, and this routine that is good for you. So people begin to experience Ayurveda and this routine and lifestyle, and they say, wow, I'm feeling really fine in this way. And when I change and making something different, then they feel the symptoms.
Yeah, makes sense. And so after we've done these works, we understand how we feel, so that in the morning we can have a routine. What's the next step to implement Ayurveda into our life? So we've done our bathroom routine, we've done our breath work with our belly movements. Then what's next?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of people or women who are working, they have children in school, and after children they are going to their work and eating in a canteen and coming late at night to make dinner for family, having the main meal at night. And so it's really, really difficult in Western life or in this style of life to have life like 100% mother or father who is coming back home to have a nice lunchtime. And so I would say that you can adapt everything if you feel it makes good. So it's not really what Ayurveda will teach you, but since we want to adapt Ayurveda in our modern life, I say that we take, if we are in an office, we take something nice to eat in the office, not eating in the morning very early, because normally when you eat early in the morning, your digestion fire, it's not your digestion, it's the fire, it's low. So the time that the main meal they have to do is when the sun is in the zenith, is when the sun is there. I would say more or less between 10 and 2 o'clock during the day. This would be the main meal. If you have a nice place to eat, but you feel, oh, they have only raw, or they have not enough good oils, or the spices you're missing in this food, this is the reason that we begin to make the Ayurvedic spices for all these busy people who can take it with them to the office, or after eating a heavy meal, or not so digest meal, that they have some teas that they can take with them. So you can adapt a lot of little things during mealtime. Don't working on the computer, making a little rest, and be prepared without stress, eating without stress, because stress is also something who blocks your digest fire, is Agni. So we have to really be very aware about our routine that we try to adapt in our busy life. And the last meal, I think everybody can do it, not so late, saying to the chef, to the boss, look, I have family, I need to go home, I'm working 8 hours, I think you can do it. So the decision, I think it's our to say, now I stop to work and now it's time for me, because this time that you have for you, you have more energy, you are more efficient in this 8 hours of work than if you have 16 hours of work, tired, without energy, sitting in front of the computer, stressed, not eating, and once is a current off, a fire circle that you are working inside. So 8 hours of work, and this 8 hours having the energy to work really.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and I think we can see that it's applied relatively well in Southern Europe, particularly because they will not do half a minute more, which is great. It's good for them. But having lived in the UK, the States, I just feel like it's almost frowned upon if you don't do 12 hours of work. Like, how dare you respect your contract of 8 hours? You need to do 12, you slacker. And I think that's the problem, because now people feel the pressure. Moreover, they're also always reachable. So even if they leave the desk after 8 hours, they are always on their phone working. So they're actually not switching off, which means they don't really have the time to, prepare a good meal and focus on the routines that they should apply to be healthy, which is probably why we see this incremental number of diseases that are lifestyle related and not genetics as such, and not viral, but relatively lifestyle related, that we can actually control. And I think, from what I'm standing, having interviewed all these doctors, especially plant-based doctors that are integrative and that get it, it's our power. It's in our power to make those decisions. But it's not just about the food that we choose or the drinking water versus soda. It's more, what is our lifestyle going to be like? Are we going to make the choices every day to serve our health, to make sure that we understand that society has moved in a certain direction, but that we still have that control and that sovereignty to say, look, I am not going to jeopardize my health for a paycheck, or because the culture around me dictates that I have to work 12 hours. Otherwise, you think I'm not working enough. Because again, but also our brain is really not meant to work that long. Our brain is meant to have these bouts of performance, and then have breaks in between, right? To make sure that we perform better. So as you said, you work 8 hours. It's not even constant 8 hours, it's with breaks, and really perform your best, and then really switch off so that you can recharge your batteries. And maybe that's another reason why we see a lot of brain fog. And obviously it's also related to digestion, but there's so much going on. And so that must be interesting from where you're sitting, because obviously now you are on an island that is relatively well balanced when it comes to lifestyle, but you also see people that are not balanced. So what is the biggest kind of obstacle for your clients, for your patients, I should say, when they come and see you, when it comes to lifestyle, and that considering where they are, if they had the choice to be healthier, they could do it. What do you think stops them from doing that?
Normally, my clients, they're most very near from a burnout. So you see that the most of the clients are also women who have children at home and need to come back home and continue to look for children and care for children, and they have no time for them. But I think it's coming more and more that also the companies and the home office and all the virtual life are helping us to make a rest, to make a pause, to be more with the family. It's not easy, but they say, the companies see that when people are close to the burnout, they have to pay for people who are not working. So it's coming more and more that all this, not only Ayurvedic style, but holistic style of life, they are implementing in the companies like a health system, that when people have good energy and health, they have also more production in their desk and in the office. So I think we need to focus on this more and more, not adapting on the lifestyle who is going on, but more adapting on the companies who need to change something, because we are today too, how you say, multitasking. We are sitting in front of a computer, but running from the tiger running behind us. So we are all time in this fly modus, but not moving our body. And this is internal stress that you're not burning adrenaline like in the nature. So we have to understand this, and also more the companies. And I think it's not, you see how many retreats, how many people are doing yoga. For some years ago, people, they never heard about yoga, also only for women doing yoga. And today you see that young people are doing yoga, older people are doing yoga, men are doing yoga, everybody are doing yoga, because they see that they need to go down, and not only down in relaxing body, but going down also in mind, and going down with their system. Yeah. And Ayurveda is coming more and more, like you are seeing. And I think when people understand more, like the yoga today, about Ayurveda, a lot of things will change also in companies. I'm seeing this because I have young girls working also in companies, more in Holland and Netherlands. In Germany, I don't know. In Portugal, I don't know. Also in Brazil, I don't have so much contact. But I think it's coming more and more, the lifestyle, that people are producing much more when they are healthy and with energy.
Yeah. And Cecilia, from where you're standing, because obviously you have a lot of peers, whether from university that maybe went into business and they didn't decide to follow a healthy business path, rather they went into the more classical work environment. Do you see them being affected by the lifestyle? Do you see them reaching out to you with advice, or do you see them just getting stuck on that, hamster wheel?
Yeah, I see it very clearly. It was actually funny when I went to India for my yoga teachers training. That was during my semester holidays. The moment I came back, all my friends came to me and was like, "Oh, can you do yoga for us in the park?" So like even more boys and girls. I was surprised, but like my friends were asking me all the time. I didn't even plan to go back and teach immediately, but like I really felt like they wanted it, they needed it, because like all they did when they had time, they went to the gym, but then did nothing else, and they really needed this balance, the calming your mind. And even now, sometimes, of course, I think what we lost the most with our busy life is just to listen to our body, because it's just so easy to go to the pharmacy and take a pill, so we don't notice it anymore. Like we don't know what to do. Like if your grandmother knows, she's gonna say, take a ginger tea, drink this, take this out of the kitchen, make this. And we just completely lost it. So a lot of times it's like, okay, like especially nutrition wise and yoga wise, because they're sitting the whole day in front of the computer. So that's they feel like they need it. It's not like I want to do yoga. No, they really need it. And so it's nice to be able to help them. And it's exactly the thing, like I try to give them the simplest habit changes, simplest steps, because it's not like 0 or 100. It's just like it's what you do every day, and it can be 5 minutes, it can be 1 minute, just close your eyes and breathe. It can be just switching from processed food to something more natural again. And these little changes, because otherwise people get overwhelmed if they think about Ayurveda and these ancient studies. And Ayurveda is a huge study. And if just look at that and say, whoa, that's too much for me, I don't have time for that. But as we said, the beauty is just small steps and how small changes are going to make a huge change.
Yeah, the little habits that they can apply every day and make them part of their routine will make such a huge impact. And then the more you feel aligned, the more you start implementing more and more things because you like the way you feel. And you said something really important. We are used to taking pills, and they stop our pathways to even knowing how we should feel, because we are so used to feeling bad that we think that's our optimal, right? That's normal. And once you start feeling better, you look back and like, oh my gosh, I really was feeling like rubbish. And then you're like, I don't want to feel that way again. But the majority of people don't know how to feel well. They never felt well.
Yeah, or they think it's normal. They think it's normal that they're bloated after every meal. They think it's normal that they don't have energy, or that they just are constipated all the time. So it's their new normal. And because they have it every day, and it's small symptoms, and they only go to the doctor when it's already a disease or when it's already chronic, and then really a pill doesn't help anymore. But yeah, just listening to the body again. It's not so hard. Like, that's what all our ancient, like, all we did.
Yeah, our ancestors used to do. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Ingrid, we touched very lightly on doshas, and I think this is a good time to bring them in, because a lot of people know what the doshas are very superficially, but some people might not actually know what the doshas are. So we have 3 dosha. Can you take me through all of them? Well, first of all, what does dosha mean, and then what they are?
Yeah, dosha, when you see, it's a Sanskrit word, so we have a lot of questionnaires about doshas, but on the end, we see that we have all the doshas, and dosha means when something is in imbalance. So we have a tendency in having one of the doshas in imbalance, but we have all the doshas. So I don't like, when I'm teaching Ayurveda, I don't like to make the questionnaire, because people think, I'm Vata, and they are making a diet of water, drinking tea of water, and making everything for water, but the imbalance in another place. No? So when you speak about the elements in a macrocosmos, all these elements are working in our body also. So you have the elements of fire and water, who are responsible in our body. This is Pitta. They are responsible to digest everything, to burn everything in our body. Yeah, we have the elements of water and earth, who are responsible for our structure. This would be Kapha. So the Kapha is the structure of our body with elements of water and earth. Yeah, and you have the element of wind and space, where all the elements are working in. So the wind is responsible for all the movements in our body, also the movements in our mind. So when one of these elements, like in the nature, are too much or too less, this is one imbalance. So we will observe in the nature that fire can burn, but fire can also warm up. Yeah. So in our body, the same. If you have too much fire in your body, also in your emotions, you have an imbalance and be angry. You are all times crying. Como se diz gritar? Screaming and fighting with everybody. So it's a lot of fire in this body, in the emotion way to see this fire. If you see this fire in the bodily way, in the physical way, it's inflammations, it's getting hot. That when you have fever, you have a very hot fever, your body is very hot, and you feel burning in your body, itching also sometimes. So you relate this too much fire in your body, like inflammations, yes. Normally the tongue is yellow, and when you clean your tongue, you see this yellow cover on your tongue. This is that you feel that this is too much fire in, that your succus gastricus,
the gastric acid.
Yeah, are showing you on your tongue what is happening in your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and when fire is very weak, you cannot burn anything. So you feel you are eating, but you cannot digest, because the digestion, Agni is the fire who is transforming everything in your body. And so a weak fire or Agni means that you need to strengthen your fire to digest. So in Ayurveda, you have a lot of herbs who improve your digestion to have a strong fire or Agni. Yeah. And the same happens with water. When you have too much water in your body or less water, you feel that's also an imbalance. The same happens also with wind, like in the nature, too much wind is a storm, and too less wind is like a stagnation. No wind, you need to bring more wind and movement in your body. And so you can relate all these elements working like energy or humors in your body, like in the nature. So this is really nice. If you begin to observe your body, you can see and feel these elements in balance or out of balance. And with your lifestyle, you can bring all these elements. When they are in imbalance, you can bring it in balance. So when I'm speaking about the doshas, you have, if you are with a structure, very light structure, I would say that you have more the vata, the wind in your body. And if you are a person who have a lot of fire in and you want to go up the mountains, coming to your aim, Ziel, wie sagt man? Goal, exactly, to your goal. You are coming to your goal and you want to go to step more up to the next goal. So you'll see climbing a mountain, the three doshas, that one have all this power to go up and coming to his goal. The kapha is going very constant, but going slowly to his goal. And the vata, he have a lot of energy to go up, but he is losing the energy in the middle of the way. So I'm making it like a picture, three different kinds of people climbing a mountain to reach their goal. So you have a lot of characteristics that can show what kind of dosha you are, because it's a tendency in all doshas who are stronger. So when you feel the symptoms of some leak in the body, it's like when you have too much fire in your body, you have the burning feeling in you. Yeah. When you're hungry, you need to eat at 12 o'clock because otherwise you are very angry when food is not there. Wind type with vata dosha, when he is 12 o'clock in the midday and no food is there to eat, he forgot to eat. So you see the tendency is that he's getting thinner and thinner, and yeah, he lost the energy without eating. And the kapha would be the earth type. He could eat all day without having really hungry, without being hungry.
Yeah.
So a very weak metabolism. He's getting thicker, and so you see all this imbalance according to your dosha, and so you can bring this balance again with your lifestyle.
Yeah, and I love that, because with the doshas, I mean, I know that we are all three dosha, and then we have to see which one is out of balance. But there are some things that are, well, like in everything, all the characteristics that we have are very much, some are more prominent than others. And it's not, the dosha is not just about our body. It goes into our psychology, our mood, our energy levels, our activities. it's so vast that some people that are vata in many things might be pitta in others, and they don't actually realize that they are the same person with these characteristics, which is why I think it's really important to learn about the doshas from a Ayurvedic practitioner, because now it's become a very much marketing trendy word for cosmopolitan quizzes, the kind of thing. So you can't, I mean, it's fun, but then what do you do with that information if you don't know what to do with it? You're still going to be imbalanced. You're still not going to be fixing anything. And it could also be that you make it worse, right? Because you could be feeding one dosha more than the other with your attitude, with your lifestyle, with your choices, and still keeping that unbalance becoming even bigger and bigger of a gap.
Yeah.
So that's why, one of the things that I really wanted to do when talking about Ayurveda is how to really balance out where we can take those choices every day and make them something that we can apply into our life. And we talked about the little, routines that we can do versus having to see a practitioner so that we can get that guidance, because we don't have that knowledge if we haven't studied Ayurveda. And a cosmopolitan quiz won't give us the that knowledge. So it's really, really important to know that, to do that, and appreciate it as medicine, because I think a lot of people, again, as I said before, may discredit that it is actual medicine. It's a proper medical profession. It's a healing practice, and not just a woo-woo kind of approach, because a lot of even modern medicine has taken a lot of stuff out of Chinese medicine and Ayurveda. So it's the original. So since we now talked about, we know what the doshas are, what are the best? Let's just go into more details. Like, let's just talk about some spices, because I feel like this is another way that people can implement them into their day. And let's just choose maybe some spices that are 3 doshas. So they're good for all of them. So anybody that can use them basically without thinking too much about, maybe I shouldn't have this. So somebody that has got a kapha digestion maybe is like, I can still have this, but a vata can also have it in a piece as well. What are your favorite 3 spices to go for?
Yeah, I would speak a little bit about the spices, because when I'm speaking about the spices, I also speaking about the flavors. So if you are cooking, normally when people are cooking, they are using some green herbs or fresh herbs, salt and pepper or chili. Yeah, but they don't know more about other spices. So it's very important that we know a little bit about the health benefits of other flavors. So they are using less salt. I don't need to say to you how many or how much salt you put in your food, because you will taste it. But if I'm speaking about bitter, astringent, pungent, and sour, these flavors, you cannot imagine that your body also needs. So some people, they like the sweet, some people, they like the salty. But if I'm speaking about the pungent, about the bitter, astringent, so they don't have so much contact with them. And so they are not using in their food all the spices. So in principle, all the doshas can eat all the spices, but also in different quantities. And if we observe the sweet, normally when you are a kapha dosha, a kapha type, that you like the sweet, and sweet have the characteristics of heavy, and you have the structure of heavy. You see that the 2 heavy and heavy from sweet are putting you more heavy. And if you understand how the flavors are in what qualities have the flavors, so you will go against this characters of your body. If you are light, you are eating heavier. If you are heavier, you are eating light. And in this way, you bring the balance in your body. So it's very, very important to when you are making your food, that you are using all the 6 flavors, because your body will feel fine. They are not needing nothing more. But if you finish your meal with sweet or salty, it's like craving. You want to eat more because sweet and salty are opening appetite, and bitter are closing your appetite. And this is fine when people know that the bitter taste, flavor are closing appetite. So you will finish your meal. You will finish with a herb tea or with a salad in the summertime, in midday. So you will see that you have this knowledge about the qualities of of the spices that you can use in your meal. And that is what I'm trying to say to people when they are in the office, to take these herbs with them, because normally in the canteen or going out to eat, they don't have all these flavors, and you have all these flavors in your meal also going out, eating out. So you bring also the balance in your meal. And the three most common, or that I like to show people, what spices or what flavors are very, very important in your body. I would say I like the lime, the sour, because you have one taste in that you are feeling in your mouth, but in your body they have another reaction. You call this in Ayurveda Vidya and Vipaka. And after digestion, the lime is cleaning, is bringing again the balance in your body. So it's nothing that you need to buy. You go to the next tree and take a lime, depending where you're living. So the lime and the skin from the lime or lemon are very, very nice to have it in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes some drops at night. Not drinking a juice, but putting some drops on your food, putting some drops on your water, and this is cleaning and giving a good feeling of in your body. When we are speaking about another Ayurvedic spice, I would say pipali. Pipali is the long pepper, because a lot of people like to eat very pungent and are using chili. And this is again a nice quality in long pepper, because the long pepper is very hot before eating, on your tongue. You feel that's really, really hot, but it's bringing again this cooling after the digestion. So it's not really burning like a chili in your body, if you like the pungent flavor. So long pepper is also a nice pepper that you can eat with, and are improving also your digestion. And another who everybody knows about and have also so many health benefits and medicine properties is the curcuma, that you can also have in raw, like the root. And the curcuma, if you want to take it like a medicine, because a lot of people they take some capsules of curcuma, I would say have the medicine like the original root, to have the root there, to roast the root or have the powder, to using the root and not the capsules. And if you want to have it like medicine, you put it together with a black pepper, so they improve the qualities, the medicine properties. So I think we have so many herbs more, but you wanted to know 3 herbs, and these 3 herbs I'm using like prevention every day.
Oh, brilliant. Well, and the reason I asked only for 3 is because we're going to talk about Alonga, and I think in that you have quite a bit in your repertoire. So let's segue into Alonga. So at the beginning, I mentioned that you and so both Ingrid and Cecilia have a company together called Alonga, which is all about Ayurveda, yoga. I know that you, Cecilia, do the coaching as well there, and then Ingrid, you do the workshops and the nutrition in Ayurveda, and Ayurveda, of course. But what is the? Tell me a little bit about Alonga, how it came along, and why the name.
Bueno, alonga, it's from the Latin or Portuguese, alongar, who means stretch, who means, I don't know the name.
Extend.
Extend, então, em português é estender, né? And so in the beginning, I was relating alonga more with the wisdom, stretch your wisdom, extend your wisdom, extend your body, extend your knowledge about things. That was really a nice word. Looking yoga, also you're stretching your body. And so Ayurveda come later, and Cecilia, she come in and jump in our stretch. So it was really extending also the business in this way. That means really go away, continue to go, let go everything that it will happen. You are going to your goals. And this is the way from Alonga when it begins to grow with this meaning to have also a community, to have more friends and community teaching and expanding this way of life or rhythm of life.
Yeah. And Cecilia, since you are the business manager there, can you just tell me into the how you took or you're taking? It's a fairly new company, so how you're taking Alonga in a way that it matches your ethos? Because I think a lot of businesses traditionally we've seen they don't necessarily follow a dharma that is balanced with nature, with even human rights, and we see more and more companies, thankfully, that are really wanting to find what their dharma is and are implemented in a way that makes sense because they care about the planet, but they care about health, they care about animals. And I'd love to know what your approach is when it comes to balancing out your traditional education in business, but also the dharma that you have, to follow to make sure that you're really true to your, to the way you grew up with nature, align with it, and also to make sure that you honor how your mother is working, because I think it's probably what makes the business work, right? You two working together in a way that it's aligned.
Yeah. No, as my mother already said, like Alonga existed way before already, but it was never a business or never anything like that. It was just like teaching yoga, teaching the workshop, like just a passion from my mother to like bring to everyone this lifestyle and Ayurveda and just help everyone just purely out of passion and convinced that a healthy lifestyle is good for everyone, right? And then I think during lockdown, I came back to my parents' place and lockdown happened. And that was when people were asking us for them, because we were not allowed to teach yoga. So they were asking us to make virtual yoga classes and helping, like, okay, now I'm the whole day at home, what do I cook? I never cooked for myself. And all these people were like approaching us, and I was like, okay, now is the time, like they need us, we need to give them something, we need to support them, we need to help them out. And that's how Alonga started. So really at the peak of pandemic lockdown, everyone was home and just needed the movement, needed the good food and all of that. And it's just nice because it's really like the passion from my mother and from me to bring this to as many people as we can. And also the spice mixtures that we sell in Alonga, they also exist already many years. Since my mother started working on health retreats where she cooks as well, people were asking, okay, but what spices do you use? I was never able to eat a kale, but like today it felt perfectly fine. And then they were asking, and my mom would do spice mixes for everyone individually, what they needed to take home and make it as accessible and as easy as possible. And then that's why then we had to bring the spice mixtures as well into the business, because that was the demand was just already there. Like we didn't have to convince people or introduce it to them, but they were just asking for it.
And that's brilliant.
I think that's the beauty of Alonga, because it was born because of like a pull factor. They were like wanting it, and we were not pushing it. And Yeah,
So it's very organic. And talking about organic, I believe all the spices are
yeah,
100% organic certified.
they are
Um,
certified organic, and that's very, very important for us because the spices, if they're not organic, they're dried the wrong way with products and everything, and you don't know where that come from. So that's very important for us.
Yeah, and you told me a story once that your mom, so Ingrid, tell me about this. So you get you have a distributor that has, or supplier, I should say, you have a supplier that brings you the organic certified spices, and then what do you do?
It's nice because I'm doing that more than 10 years, the spices. So I remember when I bought the first 20 spices, I needed to buy minimum of 1 kilo. So I had 20 kilos of spices there. Bay leaf, I had a big, big sack of bay leaves. You can imagine 1 kilo of bay leaves. It was really crazy. And so in the beginning, I give all the spices to my friends. I make a big basket with the price of the list from this company who was giving me the spices. And they went from house to house, this big 20 kilos of spices. Everybody was taking their spices. And so this was my beginning, giving away all the spices.
Yeah.
Because I needed some grams only to cook for some people, and not 1 kilo of every spice. Now you can imagine 1 kilo of cloves, 1 kilo of bay leaves and cumin, and what we are using a lot, what more, mustard seeds and cardamom and so. And one of the friends who was one of the first participants of my cooking courses in Germany, she said, Ingrid, I'm seeing you giving all the spices since more than 10 years for everybody. Now I will call the authorities to ask them if we can produce the spices in my kitchen. And then the authorities come in their kitchen and give me the license to produce all this mix in her kitchen in Germany. So I have the labor from the organic and the license from the food company that I can produce in her kitchen all these spice mixes. So today I mix everything in her house, making everything in by hand, roasting every spice separately. So this is a lot of work. I think when we will grow a little bit more, I need more help and make it a little bit easier because I'm roasting all the spices in a pan. So you can imagine to make 20 kilos of spices roasting one by one in a pan. So it's a lot of work. I like to do this work. The kitchen is smelling like, oh, so beautiful. And you feel that it's something special happening in the house when I'm producing the spices in her kitchen. Yeah, this is the way that we are doing it now. In the future, I don't know, because I will need some help to produce. And we have friends, when we have orders in Shopify, we have some friends, they are running to the post and sending all the spices to them. Yeah,
That's good friends. That's very good friends behind, your mission, which is great to have. And tell me about the range. How many items you have in your range of spices?
we have now officially we have 5, and
Okay.
have more recipes, but we are fighting a little bit with all the bureaucracy that we are not from the area of Shopify and all this bureaucracy that we need to organize first. But if people ask me to make some spices for this or for that, we can mix it, but without the labor, because we have officially, we have 5, yeah.
And can you tell me what the 5 are?
So we have so many people, they like coffee and they have problems because the coffee is bringing some acidity in body. And so with the cardamom, with the licorice, the long pepper and the cloves, you bring again this imbalance from the coffee who are bringing the acidity in your body, you are bringing again this balance. So people all love this Tola name, the Tola coffee mix, or some people cannot drink the coffee without Tola. So you see, this is one of our spices. The other spices is for people who are cooking. It's masala. A lot of people, they know the curry. But mostly some people say, oh, I cannot eat the curry because after eating curry, I'm feeling bad. Because the most of the curry mix, masala mix, they have onions or garlic or paprika. And all this is giving, again, some symptoms in the body that's difficult to digest for some people, not for everybody. So this masala mix, name Rasa are the flavors. They are with all the spices who can improve your digestion. So they help and makes also easier to cook. You don't need to roast every spice in a pan, from mustard seeds to cumin to cardamom to coriander to long pepper to the black pepper to anise and fennel cloves also. So you have 9 different spices in this masala mix, and people like it also because sometimes you are a little bit in hurry to make everything separately, so it helps in the kitchen. Then I have the other 2 spices that you can take with you in the office. Is lavana. Lavana is for if you have salads, you can put like the pepper in a grinder, or the grinder, no?
Grinder, yeah.
Grinder. You are using all this roasted spices in the grinder. So you have every time this fresh essential oils, like when you're fresh grained pepper in your grinder for savory food. You say savory?
Mm-hmm.
Savory food. And we have another for sweet food, that is madura, that you also are putting in a grinder. Have, I think, 9 or 10 different spices in, from licorice to anise to fennel to cinnamon, from clove to long pepper. The long pepper is present in all our spices. So the long pepper is really one of the spices who also helps to lift weight.
Lose weight. To lose weight.
I'm sorry. to
No,
lose weight, and because the metabolism is working better if you have long pepper. So the long pepper for me is in every spice in. And I think this is Tola, Rasa, Madura, Lavana. Sisi, one more. Vyosha is the last one. That is also Ayurvedic recipe that people can have it in capsules, also named Trikatu, the 3 hot spices. This is the long pepper, the black pepper, and the ginger. All the 3 together, they makes a remedy. But I'm not using like a remedy, I'm using like prevention, also improving your digestion. So you see that the long pepper are in all our spices in. Yeah.
And the last one, if you don't want to put it in a capsule, how do you use it in food?
Yeah, like pepper in the grinder.
In the grinder. Okay, fantastic.
So all the spices who are not in powder form, I try to make it in whole size, so you can use in the grinder.
Well, that's amazing. Very good. Wow. Well, so what's the future for Alonga?
We definitely want to come up with like more spice mixtures, and maybe like we have so many ideas, but as I said, like my mom said, was a bureaucracy, and like we have so much, like once you have a business, there's so much more to do, and you can't just stay on the creative side, because we love being in the kitchen and creating new recipes and all of that. So we're already thinking to go like chewing the spices to have them whole, so people can snack on them if they have problems with digestion, or maybe other snacks but it's always going to be with spices. So if we do snacks like roasted nuts with spices, or other things. So our main product is definitely the spices, and we're going to keep with that. But our creativity is huge.
And
we have many ideas.
And that's amazing. Fantastic. Wow. This was really helpful and really interesting. And I know, we only really scratched the surface because there's so much when it comes to Ayurveda that one can go into. But if people want to get in touch with you guys, what are the services that you can give online for the time being?
So on our website with all our contact information, and we also I do the coaching online. I basically do it all online. And for the future, we also want to offer courses like Ayurvedic detox online, but we're working on that. That's a work in progress, but they can sign up for our newsletter, and then they're going to be up to date if we have new products, new offers. And whenever anyone comes to Mallorca, they're more than welcome to come visit us, participate in one of our courses, and yeah.
That's amazing. Well, everything will be in the show notes, so people will have that contact, but it's great to know what you're doing. And we also hope to have you here in Portugal at some point for a retreat and really get, a lot of the knowledge out there. And people really need healing at this point. The world needs healing as a whole. People in their own personal life need healing, especially after the 2 years. Paradoxically, when everybody was worried about getting sick, they got sicker because a lot of people were just eating really poorly at home. And, that adds such a big strain on the immune system. So it's a really good time now to educate people and empower them. And then if they can just not do the hard work by things like roasting their own spices, but getting them already done by you, that to me is an amazing service, to humanity. So thanks, guys. And it was really a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you for being on the show. And hopefully we'll see you soon in person. And I cannot wait to see what Alonga does.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Chantal.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Cecilia and Ingrid, for being on The Green Life. And thank you, everyone, for staying on for the episode. What an amazing story. And I really hope that you got a lot out of it and that you also learned so much about this beautiful company, Alonga World. And as a favor from the company, we have a 10% discount for you in the show notes so that you can try the blends, support the family business, and boost your health. So if you liked this episode, please do like, share, and rate, and let us know how we're doing so that we can keep on growing. I'll see you next week.